Welcome, everyone. Make yourself comfortable. For the next half hour, you are tuned in to Eye on the Bay, the only show that explores the people who make San Francisco. And now, here are the guys whom we have our eyes on, Alexander Drexler and Bradley Wollack.
Welcome to Eye on the Bay this month. It may just look like we're in a normal restaurant right now, chefs cooking away, but these gentlemen are making more than just a hamburger. They're making a new life for themselves.
As you can see by these clips of Delancey Street, it is a residential self-help center teaching marketable skills to ex-convicts. We'll speak with its inspiring director. We visit Delancey Street and then come back to the studio and speak with two residents about their personal stories. You'll find out by the end of the show what we found out when we visited, how powerful and moving Delancey Street is. Then, it's time for the music. In our studio is one of the most popular bands in the Bay Area, the Professionals.
But now, let's speak to the woman who makes this organization run.
Let's head back to the studio. This month, Eye on the Bay has attracted one of San Francisco's most prominent people. She's a criminal psychology and justice expert and the president and CEO of Delancey Street, a residential self-help center that takes life's so-called losers, drug addicts, prostitutes, and convicts and reforms them into respectable citizens. Her remarkable story has been told by most every major newspaper in America, including the New York Times and the Washington Post, and every major news magazine show in America, including 2020 and 60 Minutes. She was offered a job by the Clinton administration, but rejected because she wanted to stay in San Francisco and continue to run what many consider the most successful criminal rehabilitation program in the world. I can tell you from my own personal experience with her, what she has accomplished and what she has done to help others has simply blown me away. Please welcome Miss Mimi Silbert.
Thanks very much.
Now tell me, what is Delancey Street?
Delancey Street's a place where people come who have hit bottom completely, and they learn to rebuild their lives in every single way. Education, vocational skills, values, attitudes, style, and then enter the mainstream of America legitimately and successfully.
Please describe the life of the typical person, who is a resident of Delancey Street. What happened to them before they worked Delancey Street?
Yeah, the people who come into Delancey Street are truly the people that everybody right now believes are hopeless and should be locked up forever. Our typical resident has been very violent. They have been gang members. They are usually illiterate. They dropped out of school early, 7th, 8th grade. They're unskilled. They've never worked. They're second generation. So they have parents who are drug addicts and criminals, and their lives have been to be on the streets, be homeless, go in and out of prison, go back to a gang, hate everybody, hate themselves, and be a failure. It's a difficult and horrible cycle that they're trapped in.
What does someone do once they enter Delancey Street?
The point of Delancey Street is to start all over again, to just take that past, put it behind you, and start fresh and make a new life. And we start from the outside in. So you start by changing your hair, changing your dress, changing the way you walk, the way you talk, and learning to build a whole new life, learning to make friends, learning to be decent. Delancey has no staff, and we're not funded. So it's the residents themselves that have to make the whole place work.
Are there any people that are just too horrendous to take on?
Well, there might be, but we haven't found them yet. That's what's so remarkable, is that in the interview you see a person that's just hopeless. And you really feel to yourself, my God, what are we going to do here? And slowly that person finds not only skills, not only talents, but things like integrity and character and decency and dignity and caring about other people. It's remarkable to see what people are capable of.
What if you get a victim's family member, from way back who says, how can you possibly reform this person? They committed a crime against someone I love. There's no reforming. They're hopeless. What do you say?
Well, and that is what everybody believes about the people who come in. And I'll tell you something worse. The people believe it about themselves. They believe they're hopeless. They live in despair. And that's the toughest thing of all to change, is for people to come to believe that they can break that self-destructive and other destructive cycle. And I'm not saying it's easy. You know, this sounds, we're in a quick discussion, so it sounds great. It's very painful. It's very long. They stay in Delancey Street an average of 4 years. They work incredibly hard to change. At every minute, it's like a mirror is up to you, and you're always stopped, and somebody says, no, that's not the right way. Now redo it. Now let's look at how you did it. It's so difficult to do something the exact opposite way of how you've always done it. But when you have to survive, and when people are counting on you as the only hope they have, you somehow rise to the occasion, and that's what I believe makes it work.
So I guess you get a lot of people, Mimi, I gotta go, I can't handle this, I want to go back to jail.
Absolutely. All the time. All of them will point out, prison is easier. Please let me go back to prison, where I have no responsibility, where no one holds me accountable for anything. Here, I'm responsible for everything, and I'm accountable, and I don't want to face that. And we do anything we can think of. While they try to manipulate us, we're busy out manipulating them. So sometimes I'll say, well, listen, if you want to go back to prison, wait a couple days. Stay, because this guy here is leaning on you today. So you want to give up, that's fine. But give me a day to help him. And by the time you help him, you've gotten over that despair. And so you're there for another day and another day. And it goes minute by minute.
What is the reputation of Delancey Street in the country's prisons quickly? Like, what do people hear about it before they actually
come in? I think they hear that it really works, but that it's dead serious and the hardest place you can go to. I think the residents can tell you what they know is, don't go to Delancey Street if you want to play games and get hugged and get away with stuff. If you really want to change your life, that's the place to go.
Brad's actually talking with a few of the residents later on. But Delancey Street is one of the few programs that isn't funded by a single government dollar. How is Delancey Street able to do this?
Well, we're trying to teach self-reliance. It's what we believe good citizens do. They work hard and they earn a living. And that's what our people do. And in the process of earning a living, you earn self-respect. You earn things about yourself that let you know, my God, I can do this. I can run a restaurant. I can run a moving company. I have all kinds of things in me. So we not only make our money by earning a living, we make human beings with self-esteem.
All right. Lastly, you know, the justice system obviously doesn't operate like Delancey Street. We only have 10 seconds, but it's not as successful either. Does this create a problem for the future of this country?
Well, we definitely have made ourselves a big problem. Unless we're going to buy a continent and put everybody in prison in those continents, we cannot build our way out of this problem. We have to turn people around and teach them to live responsible, legitimate, successful lives. And we're not doing that right now.
Well, hopefully that will happen in the future. And thank you.
Thanks very, very much.
Thank you. And now we're going to go to Delancey Street and check it out. Roll them.
This is the bench. This is where people come when they come to Delancey Street, and when they first come in, they sit here. It gives them kind of a minute to think about what they're going to do with their lives. I mean, it's just unbelievable of the magnitude of the work that was done here by the residents. I mean, you just can't believe it. And we made it to where, as a matter of fact, we overdid it. Where 10 nails should be, we put 20. You know, if a wall was up and it was kind of crooked, we tore it down and we did it again. Because this is our home. And we had to make it to where it lasts like that.
We come in here with no experience about printing in a lot of the jobs that we do, and I came in here, I know how to run 2 different presses. I know how to strip, shoot film. There's about 5 other trades that I've also learned that here in the print shop.
What have you gotten out of Delancey Street, the whole experience? Like,
the whole experience?
What's changed you?
Just the fact that I'm in a position here in Delancey Street now where I have an opportunity to help a lot of people learn things. It's this particular job is something that I knew before I came to Delancey Street, and It gives me a chance, like I said a minute ago, to teach people something that they can use as a marketable skill when they get ready to leave Delancey Street. I enjoy what I do. You know, it's nice to be able to give somebody something that they can use.
Right here, what we're doing outside right now, this is a part of maintenance. We'll wash the windows and just get together, talk, and run stuff by each other, work as a team.
Sometimes this feels weird, you know, that you actually go, can I really be sleeping on a bed? Do I really have a comforter? You know what I mean? Is the pillow really fluffy? You mean I actually have drawers instead of a milk crate? Or instead of living out of a shoebox?
How about when you got into prison? I mean, you were in the hole for 8 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you talked about not being able to see night. And, you know, just that whole experience. What was that feeling like, that you just, the outside, you missed the outside?
Well, I mean, you know, of course, when you're in the hole in segregation, you don't see what dark is anymore. Dark is like when you shut off the light. That's your darkness. You know, and I remember a lot of people say, well, what did you miss about, you know, being away from society? You know, a lot of people say, well, I miss girls, I miss partying, you know, and everybody misses that. But after a while, that doesn't become anything. But one thing that used to stand out was just being able to feel what it felt like being not so much free, but just to be outside in darkness. You know, I got out, and my first day out, I just went to a house, went inside, closed all the blinds, had the lights on, and I waited until midnight, and I just ran outside and was like jumping out at the air, you know, at the sky, saying, ah, look at it, it's dark, it's dark. It was almost like a little kid in a candy store again.
What have you all gained from Delancey Street?
What have we gained? I mean, that's a big question. A lot of us gained freedom. We're not in prison.
It's sad sometimes because people want to call you and run their whole life story, you know, and tell you all about what it is that they're going through out there, or, you know, if they're having a real hard time. And, you know, it could become very emotional. You know, your heart just kind of wants to, just feels for them.
To sum up Delancey Street in a short one-line way, I would say it takes courage, and it's hard being here. There's long hours and a lot of peer pressure to do the right thing and change. Even the smallest behavior here is noticed by your peers and addressed almost daily. And so through constant pressure and daily living skills, it's working. It works. It changes people's lives.
What I'm mostly protecting it against is for people that used to be like me. I myself used to be a convict. Now I'm security.
Karan, if I had seen you maybe about 5 years ago walking on the street, first of all, what would you be like as a person? I mean, what would you be feeling inside? And, I mean, how would I react to your presence?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. I know that I would be walking down the street like, you know, everybody better stay out of my way, you know, like I don't care. I'd probably look like
No smiling, no
smiling. I didn't even talk, you know, I wouldn't even speak, and when I did, it was broken English. If you saw me coming down the street, you would probably walk on the other side.
The hardest part? Probably dealing with yourself.
I thought dignity was holding your mouth shut and not helping anybody and stabbing people, you know, and doing it for a cause that didn't mean nothing. I thought that's what dignity was.
My biggest skill I've learned in Delancey Street basically would be for me to humble myself.
I've been here 16 months, and I've made a lot of friends. I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm completely changing my life.
We're actually the lucky ones. We deserve it. It's been a long time.
Now, to conclude our Delancey segment, we're sitting here with Gerald and Conrad,
How you doing?
2 Delancey residents, and thanks for being with us tonight, guys.
Thank you for inviting us.
And first off, why are you guys at Delancey Street?
Well, I came to Delancey Street. I was facing prison time. I'd gotten out of prison, and I was in there for a while, for about 10 years, and I got out, and I was on my way back, and I heard about Delancey Street and changing your life, and I ended up there instead of going back to prison.
I guess the main reason I'm there is because my life was a mess. I mean, I was interviewed in jail, and instead of going to prison for 8 years, I was accepted into Delancey Street. So I just didn't want to go back to prison.
Understandable. You know, and you kind of bring up what my next question here is. We heard from one resident that, you know, we thought, hey, you know, why not choose prison? Well, prison or Delancey Street? What do you choose? How do you make the distinction? I mean, it seems pretty easy at Delancey Street. You're in an environment that's kind of more friendly, more welcoming. What's easier? Prison, Delancey?
Prison is nothing compared to Delancey Street. Delancey Street is a lot harder. I mean, in prison, you're not held accountable or responsible for anything that you say or you do. In Delancey Street, you're held responsible and accountable for everything. I mean, the way you walk, the way you talk. I mean, it's just a whole different environment.
So it's a lot harder.
It's a lot harder, yeah. I mean, there are people who choose prison over Delancey Street because, I mean, I did. A few years ago, I had a chance to come to Delancey Street. I said, no, I'd rather go to prison. But I reversed that decision later on. I wish I would have done it a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Well, at least you're there now, huh? And, Comrade, how has Delancey Street changed you as a person?
A whole lot. I mean, as a kid, I was taught how to sell drugs by my father, which my grandfather sold drugs before him, my brothers, my sisters. So all I know is just drugs in the streets. And in prison, I got into gangs, and then when I got out, I thought that's all there was left for me. And I came to Delancey Street, and I had to learn how to read, or write. I couldn't even spell my own name. I got it tattooed. They told me if I knew my vowels, and I said, of course I do. I'm Catholic. But I didn't know they meant A-E-I-O-U, and, I can do construction now. I can do plumbing, sheetrocking. I can paint. I can cook. I learned to care. I can actually cry now, and I'm not ashamed. I learned to care.
That's really terrific. And both of you, what are you guys going to take away from Delancey Street when you're leaving? How much more time do you guys have?
Well, we can basically leave any time now. We've been there a couple of years, and when I do, leave Delancey Street, I'll probably do some kind of construction. But basically, my life is together now. I've learned what to do with myself. I can care. I learn to feel now, and I can do different things and be a productive citizen.
Great.
Well, I guess the biggest thing I take is a sense of responsibility, not only for myself, but for people around me, which is something I was never concerned about before. I mean, I never cared who did what. Now it's a lot different. Now I've learned, some job skills and things like that, so I'll be okay.
Great. Thanks a lot for being with us today.
Thank you.
It was really inspirational.